Welcome to the Say It Different podcast. My name is Tyler, and I'm joined every episode with my great friend, Justin Dailey. Our hope is to have real, authentic, and helpful conversations about the issues that we're all facing and talking about. Our perspective, it's going to say it different. Well, we like to bring common sense on this podcast, right? It's just
common sense isn't very common anymore, but we bring old school common sense.
Yeah, I think that's a Mark Twain quote. Yeah. The problem with common sense is that it ain't so common. It's
getting less and less common.
Yeah. Well, I wanna bring a little common sense right here.
Okay.
I recently took a flight on a plane.
Okay.
For a work trip. I don't fly a lot. You probably fly a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, a lot more, but
I went by myself on this trip. And so I was people watching a lot more than I would. I was noticing things more in tune, right?
Okay.
Less distractions, more in tune.
Okay.
And I made a little list of some things I saw that I just need to know. Is this the state of the world?
I'm super nervous right now.
Well, you should,
because I don't ever know the content in which we're going to discuss, and you unfiltered people watching this. I'm just want everybody to know I'm on pins and needles.
Well, I need everybody to know it's slightly filtered because I wrote it down.
Okay.
But it's not just coming straight out of the mouth. It's
okay,
not coming.
That's good. Yeah. So you've thought about it at least once before this.
Briefly.
Okay.
It's a brief thought. It's not much thought. Brief thought. So a couple of things I want to run by you. I think that I would globally call this traveling etiquette.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And I just need to walk through a couple of things.
We could help. This could maybe be our most beneficial podcast.
Or it could help me adjust my expectations because the world has changed.
Yeah.
And I'm very quickly the old man on the front porch screaming at the kids to stay off my lawn. Yeah. I get that.
Okay.
So if I need to change, I will. The first, bag storage.
Okay.
I travel with a carry-on bag because I don't want to do baggage check unless I absolutely have to. This was a couple day trip. So I went on a flight that bags travel free.
Yep.
I also went on a flight.
You went on Southwest.
Well, okay. I didn't.
If bags were free. Yeah. I just want to let everybody know. Yeah.
Well, right. And because of the way that they do their thing, you board in groups, right?
Yeah. Did you pay for the early bird? $20?
I did.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't. I had to set up perfectly and there was a front row availability.
Wow. But there was no bags.
You saw where I was going with this. How is that possible?
Because on Southwest, you just find the first open spot because there may not be a spot in the back.
So people were sitting in the back of the plane, but using the front of the plane storage.
Yep.
That's a problem in my body.
Everything in Southwest is first come, first serve, Pastor Tyler.
But I missed a front row seat because at that point, you can't store your bag in the back of the plane.
No, because you'd be waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you see my dilemma.
Yeah.
So I had to sit in a middle seat.
Yeah.
Middle of the plane.
If you can pay $20 on Southwest and upgrade to an A boarding.
Well, bag storage, people take a note. Bag storage is something that we
I agree with you as poor etiquette, but I've been on enough Southwest flights to know that I just find the first available.
You're part of the problem.
Well, I don't fly a lot of Southwest anymore
because of that. Because of the storage problems.
Yeah, I'd like to have my seat and my baggage spot solidified before I get on there.
Well, that was the first mistake.
Yeah.
The second mistake was the lady that I sat next to in the center, which was a real treat. When you're 6'3" in the middle seats, and you've got two strangers on either side of you, you're going to have the debate about the armrest.
Oh, for sure.
I claimed my stake very fast. I took the real estate and I took both.
Okay.
Because I'm in the middle seat.
That's proper etiquette.
Yeah.
Middle seat gets first armrest priority because you don't have anywhere to lean.
It was a full box out.
Yeah,
and
good.
the elbows were ajar.
Good. And you play basketball and you were short to play down low, so you know how to box out.
I know how to throw my body around.
Yeah. I'm not comfortable with that statement, but yes.
Yeah, I'm scrappy. I'm scrappy in the paint.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. The lady on the left of me was a full-grown woman. I must have been her first flight.
Can you say full-grown woman?
Full-grown woman. Well,
she was an adult.
She's an adult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it had been an adult.
You're not making a statement about her stature. Just she's okay. Great. But I'm just helping.
She had been an adult for at least 20 years.
Yes.
So she's middle-aged.
She's an experienced adult.
Experienced.
It's an old full-grown woman.
Full-grown woman.
Okay.
She must have been the first time she'd ever flown because she was, no joke, hands were folded, praying like a 5-year-old, eyes tight as they could be closed on takeoff. She was maybe like 5 seconds away from full speaking in tongues for the prayer.
Okay.
And it just was throwing me off just a bit. Like I wasn't nervous to fly.
You were like, I don't know if she knows something I don't know.
Yeah. And so I looked over and I saw her preparing
for Final
the
Destination.
No, it was full. Is Nicolas Cage flying this plane right now?
Oh,
yeah. I believe
Left
he was
Behind.
I think he was Left Behind pilot.
Yeah, it's a different movie, but yeah.
Final
Destination is where the guy got off and everybody died.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Left Behind.
Yeah.
I thought it was a full Left Behind scenario.
Okay.
So that was throwing me off a little bit. And then when we landed, this was all in one flight, which was it was only an hour and like 10-minute flight.
Okay.
When we land the plane, the entire back of the plane clapped when we landed. And I found myself not wanting to participate in that.
But you did.
Oh, I did not. I did not.
Good.
I refused to mainly because both of my elbows were occupied taking up my armrests.
I don't understand why we clap at arrival or clap at a movie because we're watching a screen that they're not there. The actors and the producers.
No, well, the pilot's in a block box. He can't hear it or she can't hear it. And they did their job. Yeah. I was expecting them to land comfortably, not.
Yeah.
What are we clapping for?
It's true. You experience a lot of different things on different airlines, Southwest and Spirit. I actually show up early if I'm anywhere near a Spirit Airlines flight.
Yeah.
If you've been on TikTok or YouTube, somebody's getting arrested before the flight every time.
Oh, yeah.
And so you need to show up early at a Spirit takeoff because somebody's going to jail.
Well, yeah, you just need to go for the fireworks. That's the pre-flight.
The best people watching is you get there early, grab you a little snack, and then just go watch the boarding process at Spirit.
Well, that will be. I'll note that for next flight.
Yeah,
it could be a Spirit
somebody's
flight.
getting arrested.
Well, the last thing was exiting process.
Oh, that's My blood pressure just rose just saying it.
It's a full cluster because we have a bunch of selfish idiots that sit behind you that want to jump you to exit, and they're part of the problem because now the guy next to me can't get his bags because the lady behind me is now in front of me trying to exit before me, and she's blocking the whole thing.
I don't cuss more in my head anywhere else in the world than exiting an airplane.
I just can't do that.
It shouldn't be complicated.
It's row by row.
Just get your stuff and get off the plane.
Yeah.
I say that out loud.
Well, I almost had a little lean in with a sweet little college girl, not a full grown girl. She was a half grown girl. And she was sweet, but she was very ignorant to the exit process.
I'm just going to leave that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Well,
Good.
I'm just trying to heal.
I don't, just if we can help men for a second, I don't think we should call women half grown or full grown. I think, I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a poor description.
True. Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're here. Say different.
I'm here to learn just as much as our audience is here to learn what to do. And
I'm here to teach.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm not here to get fined or imprisoned.
There's not enough people that watch this or listen to this to get in trouble. We're fine.
Fair. So, maybe we transition into more important matters as we like to do here. I think what I've noticed a lot with life is the main problem with culture right now is we have replaced God with ourselves, right? And that is the root of everything that we're experiencing as Christians when we're looking at the world, scratching our heads saying, this doesn't make any sense.
For sure.
Fill in the blank with whatever this is. I found myself in a conversation not too long ago with a friend that it was my wife. A
full-grown woman.
A full-grown woman friend. And I almost said she, and then I was like, why didn't I just say my wife? So I was in a conversation with my wife, and she was talking about this situation that she's in the middle of, and she said the statement, "I'm having a hard time because I just have to be nice." And I was like, well, okay, but there was this moment where it was nice isn't really what the Bible calls us to be. The Bible calls us to be kind.
Okay.
And there was this, society is not in line with God. And so society would tell you to be nice.
Okay.
The Bible would tell you to be kind. And there's a big difference between nice and kind, right? Like so often Christians just think nice is what we're called to be and we just take it on the chin, when kindness is actually more talking about living with integrity and moral goodness. So there's this nice versus kind thing. There's a couple of different...
For definition for people listening or watching, would nice be like a perception and kindness would be like the the heart or the root of it.
I just don't know where in the Bible I find the word nice. Kindness is one of the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can break that word down. You can study that word. You can understand that word. Nice to me, from a society standpoint, is just pretending to like somebody and then talking crazy junk behind their back, right? It's Southern hospitality.
Yep.
Right? Like,
well, bless your heart.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of different phrases or a couple of different words that I'd like to kind of run by you to get your thoughts on.
Okay.
And I think nice and kindness would be kind of the first example there, because to me, nice says that I've got to bend over and just consistently turn the other cheek kind of mindset. And I don't know that that's biblically what we're called to do there. Like help balance that.
Yeah, I mean, kindness for me, when you say it, it's the intentionality, it's the root, it's the foundation. I'm supposed to treat people a certain way, but sometimes kindness could be telling you what you need to hear, not versus necessarily what you want to hear. Like, the kindest thing I could do to somebody would be to tell them, this is going to hurt you. That's not maybe the nicest thing that I can say, because it's not gonna make them feel good. But it's like, this decision, this habit, this path that you're on is dangerous. And that could be literally the definition of kindness, but the opposite of being nice to somebody. Because what I said was not nice. It was not easy. It didn't make you feel good, but it helped you.
Yeah.
And so I would say what's the goal? To make you feel better or to actually help you?
Yeah. And I think the trap that good intentioned Christians could maybe fall into is consistently being taken advantage of, because they're defaulting to a spirit of nice or a mentality of nice.
Yeah.
And I think that there's got to be healthy lines that, if they're crossed, we have to stand up and say no more.
For sure. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have coddled society. We've coddled people's feelings. We've placed a priority on how people feel versus what is true. Like, lying to somebody or allowing somebody to even lie to themselves with their behavior or with their words is not kindness.
Yeah.
It doesn't help them.
Right.
So how I differentiate it is that kindness is helpful and nice is just making you feel better.
Yeah.
Not solving any of your problems, I'm just making you feel good about your problems.
Yeah. Or too afraid to speak what I'm really feeling to make a difference or a change here. Yeah. How about this one? It's somewhat connected, but the other phrase here that I thought about was tolerance versus love.
Yeah.
Again, we're led to believe in our culture, tolerance and love are the same.
They're not.
If you look at the Bible, they're clearly not the same.
No, we changed the definition really of tolerance. And we say tolerance means that if I have to agree to love you or to be in relationship with you, I have to agree with everything you believe about everything. That's what the side of culture or the side of society that says we have to practice tolerance is saying, I have to accept everything you believe to be in a relationship with you. And that's crazy. I don't even believe everything you believe about everything. I don't believe everything that Gabby believes about everything.
Yeah.
So I don't have to be tolerant to every one of her viewpoints to love her. No, I can love her and we can disagree on things. Like, that's actually how society is supposed to work. There should be disagreements. There should be differences. There should be challenging. And it's crazy because when we do that, that means if you change your opinion, then I have to change my opinion. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And so that whole ideology is so feelings based. It's so from the enemy of I just tolerate you. No, I accept you for who you are. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I agree with everything that you believe.
Right. And I would add, we talked a couple episodes ago about the importance of opposition and wrestling with those that we love and maybe even those that we don't love, but being in that process. But
tolerate is so passive.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like a retreat. Like, it's like, I'm just going to accept your flaws. I'm just going to accept your poor decisions. I'm going to accept your wrong point of view. No, I'm going to challenge it. And maybe I get better. Maybe you get better. Maybe we find compromise. Maybe we find that we just agree to disagree. But all of those are healthy human behaviors. Me just adjusting everything I believe to you to make you feel better, to be nice, to go back to the first one, that's not helpful. That's not a friend. That's not somebody's going to help you grow. This doesn't provide accountability or even authenticity. It's just, to me, tolerance is fake because the people that preach that don't tolerate people that disagree with them. What's funny is the people that preach tolerance are the least tolerant people I know.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Well, doesn't tolerance at its roots, doesn't tolerance suggest that you're okay as you are?
Right.
Where the Bible completely says that repentance is acknowledging we're not okay as we are.
Theologically, it's the opposite of repentance.
Yeah.
But even just take it out of Christianity. Just as a human trying to grow and get better, tolerance is passive and it's weak and it's stagnant.
Yeah.
I don't want to be tolerant.
Yeah.
I'm tolerant of my bad behavior. I'm tolerant of my bad habits. I'm like I don't want to be tolerant.
Yeah. Could I put a spin on that where if I really love you, like let's just use you and me as friends. Yeah. I'm called as a Christian to love everybody. So we could say this applies to everybody, but if I love you as a close friend, why would anything that I say to you be hateful? If like it'd be easy for me to back away from a hard conversation, or what we would call, the label is confrontational conversations. It'd be easy to pull away from that. But if I really love you, it's not going to hurt you, right? No. If I need to tell you something that's not going to be necessarily easy, maybe in the moment to hear, but if I really love you, it's going to come from that place, and it's going to, right? Like that's the lie too. I feel part of
our response to challenge and confrontation, or even growth opportunities, our response reveals more about us than it does the person confronting us.
Yeah.
Like if I'm secure and I'm grounded and my goal is to grow, my first response, we talked about this before, my first response might not be great, but I'm going to be grateful for the feedback more than I am offended by however it was presented or who said it. And so I think our offended nature, the people that live their life the most offended are usually the most insecure.
Yeah. Right. I recently heard the phrase toxic compassion as being an issue with society right now, that we are so focused on tolerance that we're actually shying away from loving conversations. And it's
for sure.
And it's categorized as compassion, but it's toxic compassion because we're not correcting.
Because we're not helping anybody.
We're not helping anybody. Yeah.
And isn't it so interesting that the people that preach tolerance and compassion, which usually comes into toxic compassion, more than any other group, pick and choose who they're tolerant and compassionate about?
Yeah.
Their compassion is not across the board. Their compassion is just how they pick and choose and how they feel.
Well, it exposes that it's a tool of the enemy, right? It exposes the lie. Yeah. So tolerance versus love is one. And then the third one was pessimism versus optimism. Mm-hmm. I think we're surrounded by negativity on a regular basis. It'd be very easy just to feel like I just need to give up. I just need to be negative.
Right.
We're all screwed, and there's no hope in some ways.
Yeah.
Maybe that is applicable. We're in an election year, and our options aren't. There's not a whole lot of optimism in the options that we have.
No,
right?
I would. If you were in history, they're going to think that this is a joke.
Yeah.
That we're doing this again. But yes. Yeah.
So I would say society is trying to push a pessimistic filter onto us, where the Bible calls us to always be full of joy and to have, that doesn't mean happiness all the time, but to always have an optimistic view.
But I think I can help somebody here, because our optimism is not based on reality. Because I would say, if I focus on the election, if I focus on the state of the country, if I focus on inflation and the economy and the wars that are going on, I would say I would agree with the pessimist. This place is getting worse, but that's actually what the Bible says.
Absolutely.
It's going to continue to get worse until the end. Our optimism does not come from looking around. Our optimism comes from looking up. So our optimism is not based on what we see, because even as Christians, as people that are full of faith and full of joy, most of the time, if I look around at just the surroundings, there's no optimism.
Right.
So our optimism is not fixed on what we see. Hebrews says our faith, our optimism is fixed on things that are unseen, which is eternal. And so that's why we can look around and say, we're going to get through this. I don't know if America is going to get through this. I don't know if the Middle East is going to get through this.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen in Ukraine. I don't know what's going to happen in the election. Is it even going to be a real election? Can we even trust? All of those things, we have skepticism and pessimism. But when we look past those things, we can have true optimism because our focus is on eternity and not things now.
I think that's great. And one thing I've found myself saying in my own home is I'm refusing to allow the enemy to put fear in me, because that's what the whole game is, right? The whole game is if I'm not afraid, he can't win.
Well, the crazy thing is like the people like that's all they talk about. We can't control it anyway.
Right.
So sometimes I try and get more logical than spiritual, because for me, it helps me. Like, I know in my theology and my spirituality that my hope is in eternity. So I believe what I just said.
Yeah.
But just practically, I can't fix it. I got one vote. I got no voice in what happens around the world.
Right.
So why would I spend my life ruining my life, stressing about something that I can't even fix?
Yeah.
So what can I fix? My family, my local community, my circle of influence. I can make a difference in this world, but a lot of the times the things that cause us to be pessimistic are things that we can't control. Yeah. And people obsess. I wish those people would obsess over things they could actually fix.
Right.
As opposed to things they can't.
Or just to Jesus juke it, obsess with the things of God as much as we obsess with the things of the world. Yeah. I mean, that's convicting just for me to apply to my own life.
For sure.
If I listened to as many podcasts or I read as many scriptures as I did article,
Sure. Just take it all the way back to Gabby helps me all the time on planes, because flights actually do bring a lot of anxiety for me. I'm not a patient person. And she's like, you can't fix this. So when I'm yelling about the exit process, when I'm yelling at the bag, she goes, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. Yeah. And there really is, like, I feel a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
I take a deep breath and think, I can't get off this plane any faster. And me being ticked off about it is not helping anybody. So she's like, why don't you take a deep breath and just enjoy the moment?
Well, if I were there, I love that Gabby's there and not me, because I would say, we may not be able to fix everybody on this plane, but we can fix one person at a time. So we're going to let this girl know she needs to wait until I exit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're not tolerant.
I'm not tolerant. I'm loving.
You're loving and kind.
I'm loving and I'm kind and I'm optimistic that you can change, ma'am. Yeah. That's a good place to summarize.
Give me my armrest. Yeah.
Yeah. And give me back my armrest. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
It's great.
So yeah, I just thought we'd have a little combo there. It was that I think that that's happening on a regular basis, that we're going to catch ourselves in conversations and say, wait, I don't think that that's right. I don't think that you do have to continue to take that or continue to think that or continue to believe that or feel that, because it's a society that's disconnected from God that's pushing that onto you. So we've got to know our Bible. We've got to know who we are in God, so we can kind of stand firm in those moments.
Good.
So, well, that's a good place to wrap it up, I think.
Love it.
5 stars only.
5 stars only.
Subscribe, share.
You don't have to tolerate us. You can just keep scrolling.
But we would love for you to love us.
But we'd love for you to be kind and show that in the comments.
Yeah. And let's stay optimistic.
Yeah.
And we'll
get better.
We'll see you next episode. We're optimistic. We'll see you next episode.
Man, thank you so much for watching or listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. We'd love to hear what you think about the podcast, and follow us on Say It Different Podcast. Not .com. Just Say It Different Podcast. I'm old. Hopefully you got the point.